If you were up earlier today, you know that the sunrise was gorgeous. The sun was really bright, even when I was going in the wrong direction. It was a beautiful day. And I got thinking on my way to Volga how different it was. We've been talking about this light and darkness theme now for 4 weeks. And when we started Advent out, it was really dark. And now we start to see the days are just starting to change a little bit already. And so we think the same is true, I think, a lot of times in our own personal lives. It's not just like the weather. Sometimes we go through times that the sky, like early this morning, was bright blue and the sun was really shining and things are going really well. And sometimes we have darkness in our lives. We have challenges in our lives, whether they're financial or personal, relationship-wise or health-wise. And so those things come and go. And so the question for us on this, right on the cusp of Christmas, is what's lasting? What remains the same? Because the light and the darkness, the good times and the bad times, those things come and go. We can't really predicate our lives on whether or not things are going really well, and when they're not, we cash in our chips, whether that's in our marriages or in our church or in our country. It's what kind of keeps us together. Well, to me, it comes to us in the person of Mary today. Mary, whom a lot of non-Catholics don't understand, and certainly a lot of Catholics don't get either, about why Mary is significant. Now, the one thing we just set aside this morning is the fact that we believe that she was sinless, so don't worry about that part yet. But why do we use Mary as such a model? Well, here you have this gospel today about 2 pregnant women. I can't relate to that. You guys can't either. So they come together for a visit, and the babies jump. Now, I've not had that experience either. But those of you who have been moms know what that's like. Must be amazing, most of the time. Must be amazing. And so Elizabeth says, but how is it that Mother, my Lord, should come to me? You know, this is a big deal. You shouldn't be traveling in this condition. Blessed are you who trusted that the words promised to you would be fulfilled. And so, whether it's the translation that says believed or trusted, those are really synonymous. And so it really has to do with what do we put our trust in? And that's a great question for us to ask ourselves as we get ready for Christmas. So we've got the empty crib. We're ready to go. But if we don't answer that question, then the celebration of Christmas is just kind of a historical event when we had this squiggly little baby that came, and then by about the 29th of December, you vacuum up the needles and put stuff away and go back to life as normal. So what difference does this make? And so it's a time for us to really ask ourselves, and what do we put our trust? We want to be able to trust. In fact, most of us have had an experience, hopefully not a lot of them, where we put our trust in somebody and our trust was betrayed. We know what that feels like. And so the eve of Christmas Eve is a good time to say, what do I put my trust in? What do I put my trust in? And how do I know that? And again, Mary is a great example for us. So Mary's trust was not predicated, did not depend on her understanding everything. I still think it's a great idea when you read about these people in the Scriptures that you don't make them kind of a pious thing in your head, but try to put yourself in their shoes. Okay, so we've talked about this before. So Mary's in her kitchen having a cup of tea, and an angel shows up. Ladies, I don't think that happens a lot. And the angel says, oh, hi. Blessed are you among women. Okay, so what are you here for? And he says, oh, by the way, you're going to have a baby. And he says, I don't think so. It's that little Jewish girl next door. You should talk to her. And the angel said, no, it's you. And she says, pretty common question, how can this be? There's some things that need to happen before we have babies, and they haven't. And then the angel kind of clears it all up by saying, well, the power of the Most High will overshadow you, therefore your kid's going to be the Son of God. You go, oh, thanks, that helps me a lot. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. And so what is it for us to think that at the moment that Mary had that conversation, that she understood completely what was going to happen to her from that time till the day she was standing at the foot of her son's cross is begging the question. She didn't. So what do we know? We know that she's a model who trusted completely. Hard for us, but not impossible. She trusted completely that what God promised her would be fulfilled. Now, you and I live in a Western culture. I suppose it's true in all cultures, but it certainly is true in ours, where we like to work things through. We like to kind of do things on our own. And when you translate that into religion, it comes into things like, well, I have to pray all these things, and I have to do all this kind of stuff. And we all know people who've been very rigid in their religious beliefs, but they're not very happy people, and we don't like to be around them. It doesn't mean that they're very godly. It just means that they're good at following rules. Sometimes they get really scrupulous. The second reading that we have today talks about that. Sacrifices and burnt offerings and Holocaust you don't even desire, the psalmist says to God. You don't have to do all that external stuff. What do I want? I want a heart prepared. I want you to do my will. Mary's the example for us because when the angel left, she said, may it be done to me according to your word. I'm going to do your will. So as we start this new liturgical season, but get ready to end this year, 2018, the question becomes then, with this little baby being born that we're going to observe again at Christmas, is what does it mean to follow God's will? Am I going to do that? Now, I could go through the motions, the external things, the observances of the law, but Paul tells us in that second reading that one was taken away so that the other one would happen. This is what God wants, is in here. And so as you examine yourself for 2018, you say to myself, self, did I really follow God's will this year? How can I prove that? I go through the motions. Sometimes I was better than others. But this is what God wants. God wants me to trust in His promises. And that's the thing to get excited about as we get ready to celebrate Christmas time. Because God always comes through on His promises. God is eminently trustable. We sometimes have a hard time when somebody's betrayed our trust in trusting them again. None of us can say that God has betrayed us. God's always here. That's what the coming of the Son of God, the Son of justice that we celebrate is all about. That's why we can get excited about what Christmas has to offer us. Because it's not just something that happens one day or for a week, but it becomes a lifestyle that we're called to. So as we get ready to celebrate the Christmas holidays, it's a great time for family and friends. But even more importantly, it's a time for us to take a look in our own lives about what does this mean to really trust God. To really trust God. Now, you and I are going to do it imperfectly. But nevertheless, we're called to trust. We don't trust easily. We don't trust easily. We have a hard time with that. But God is there to bring us through and give us the light in our dark days in order to do that. So good times or bad, light or dark, the thing that's constant in our lives is really God. That's why for 4 weeks we've been singing, in every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge. In every age, O God, you have been our hope. May that be our prayer for the new year.